Top 3 is 4. Could be. All right.
Top 2 seeds get a bye.
Top 2 seeds get a bye, so there we go. As this is thrown into the corner of the end zone and will be taken for a touchback. Thank you on the clarity for that, partner. A couple of new teams get added this year, so some things change a little bit, but we'll get into the standings. And we'll talk about that a lot more as this game here goes alongside. Again, I'm Dylan Funk, joined alongside my broadcast partner, Aaron Feely. And Aaron, the good news here with the games that we've seen in the Civic Arena, they've all been thrilling and exciting. The bad news, if you're a Ghost fan, you've been on the losing side of that, and both of them by 1 point. So looking to come out here tonight and get a battle of 2 1-3 teams. A team that you got your lone win on 2 weeks ago up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for these Goats. Looking to replicate the same here and get that first home win of the season. Most overall record to 2-3.
Yeah, the offense has been electric to this point on the year. It's really been a case of can the defense keep up in those clutch moments.
A hard count taken there by Wade Freeman. He's going to throw it right away, and right at about the 10 is where it's caught. And brought in, that is number 4, Pat McSweeney, the tight end, 6'4", 230, out of Staten Island, New York. As he picks up a quick gain of 5 for the Axemen.
Yeah, he spent a cup of coffee up there with the Jets. They get the big man involved here early. Love to see the use of tight ends in any league. Most important position in the game, if I do say so myself.
Spoken by a tight end himself, named Aaron Feely. Throw here, batted out of bounds and incomplete in the hand of Jalen Brooks on that one. You mentioned Pat McSweeney. It was a really cool story for him. Like you said, the local kid, Staten Island, New York. He had that cup of coffee with the New York Jets and playing for his late father, Timothy. He's a ticket holder for the Jets growing up. It was a Jets household, no doubt. So really cool moment for him. And now he's here for the first year with these Axemen up in Eau Claire. So far, the lone reception of this game so far. Off the incompletion, 3rd and 5, running game up the middle, and able to split a couple of Goats defenders and fall forward. So that's going to bring up a pretty interesting 4th and 2 play.
Yeah, right off the bat, deep in your own territory, you can't surrender it and give the Goats the ball back at their own 15-yard line or go for it and risk giving them the ball inside your 15. And it looks like right off the bat, we're going to get a big 4th down early on here. And last week, number 55, Big Mike Reynolds, was a monster. This could be an early play to see him.
And in motion, they fake the give, trying to go to Boone Williams and pulling it out at the last second and picking up the first down yardage. Nicely done there for Wade Freeman. Everybody thought it was going to go to the former Kentucky Wildcat and Stanley Boone Williams, and instead, it's Freeman that picks up the first.
Yeah, it was good trickery in the backfield. The Goats and myself all confused as to who had the ball there. Stayed inside the rush lane, also very important. Gets the first down.
Solid game there. Fresh set of downs for the Axemen. Freeman with time. Now he throws. Sliding grab. And into Goats territory goes Eau Claire.
Great catch there by Joel Shaw. Went down low. The big fella from Pittsburgh. Scooping that one right off the carpet. Moves the chains once again. And now suddenly a little bit of rhythm here for Eau Claire. And the Goats defense back on their heels a bit. We'll see if they can get that pass rush going. Thus far, they haven't put a whole lot of pressure on Freeman.
Well, big Joel Shaw, 6'1", 225, the Pittsburgh native, like you mentioned, Aaron, and not necessarily known for a receiving threat. He picks up a nice gain of about 11 there. Sweeney takes it, cut out from underneath. Another nice, solid jump, 5+ yards on that play. The Eau Claire Axemen have it rolling.
Well, you know, those tight ends, they're all versatile, great athletes, Dylan. Just give them the ball on a jet sweep there, let the big man rumble. Picks up a good chunk of yardage there. I love the different ways they like to get him involved. Reminds me of like how Penn State like to use Tyler Warren if you're a college football fan.
Another one. Williams lost it. Ball is on the turf. That looks like the Goats have it. 2. And a costly turnover ends what looked like to be a promising drive. If we're lucky for the Goats, Wilson on the fumble recovery.
Yeah, Johnny on the spot, Malik Wilson, and that is what Coach Dorsey Golston has been wanting from the Goats. It's what made them the #1 team through the regular season last year, was creating takeaways on the defensive side of the ball. They haven't been as prolific at it this season, but early on here against Eau Claire, they get the turnover, and that is the key for them defensively. They give up a number of yards and a number of points per game. They're willing to concede that as long as they're able to get those clutch turnovers. That's kind of how Coach Golston likes to do it defensively.
And for his defense, they collected 3 turnovers last week, 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6, and then a scoop and score from Mike Reynolds. Reynolds, who had himself a day. He found 3 sacks and had that score touchdown.
Clean leaving
And
us.
now the defense strikes here. It looked like it was just a miscommunication on the handoff. It looked like it was going to Boot Williams up the middle, and he lost it on the way, and Malik Wilson recovers it for St. Joe's. Now the Goats get their first crack on offense, and a nice run here on the ground on the handoff to Jarius Burnett.
Burnett took a lion's share of the carries last week for him. Probably their best runner out of the backfield. Get him involved early.
Goats like to go up-tempo, no different here. A shot to the end zone and incomplete. Trying to hit the newcomer, Demarius Washington, 6'5", 195 out of Dallas, Texas, making his debut tonight with St. Joe. And that one was just overthrown. There were 2 Axemen in the area, so even if it was underthrown, it might have been a potential interception.
I think he had the check down to Burnett, too. I would have liked to see him go there.
And for the second week in a row, Jarius Burnett's going to hurdle a man, this time for a first down.
On third down, when you can just hand the ball to Burnett and get big chunk plays, what's the point, I guess? They're going to get another.
Right up the middle, early point of attack here for St. Joe.
The chain gang had not gotten fully set just yet, but then we're going to guess and say he's got about 8 on that carry.
That's now back-to-back games of 8+ for Jarius Burnett. Trujillo.
Got him again.
There he goes. Sidestep. Bruce Smith. Stopped just short. Hammered at the 1.
That was a great open field tackle. Initially making the hit there was big number 17, unrostered on my roster.
And now a goal line stop, trying to go to Burnett up the middle, and it's for no gain. That was number 10 for Eau Claire. It should be David Facone.
Stephen Thomas, I believe, blew that play up initially, getting right off the center.
Just pitched it to him. And again, oh, this is going to be close, but they're going to say you broke the play. Touchdown, St. Joe.
That was very close, Dylan. We're right over the top of this end zone. I wasn't totally sure he had managed to break the plane, but the official puts the hands up. We got a 6-0 Goats lead, and hey, this time he found the check down. Jarius Burnett off the play action. They don't really follow with him.
Now going for 2, 50-50 ball. Washington can't bring it in. Able to bobble it a couple times, but not able to secure it on the 2-point try. So nicely done for St. Joe, who saw the lion's share of their turnovers last week. And the home loss against Iowa get cashed in for turnovers. They get one solid opening drive for Eau Claire, and they go right down the field and score. A lot of credit to Jarius Burnett. 3 total here, 4 total carries. And 3 of them going for 7 for 4 yards on that possession. And then, of course, the reception to Boone Smith to set it up. Goal to go right here on the 1-yard line, and check down to Jarius Burnett a couple plays later. Secures the score. So 6-0 early here for St. Joe. Very similar to how they got started last week. First drive, go down and score. Now looking to keep the momentum going forward and not kind of waver like that's been the common theme this year for this team, Aaron. Is the offense will have hot streaks and all of a sudden they get cold. Look out, you go on runs of 3 or 4 straight touchdowns, and it's resulted in, quite frankly, about every single loss so far for St. Joe.
Yeah, for them at this point, that's really been the key to all these losses, has been those cold spells. And they're going to give Eau Claire great starting field position here as that one banks off of the ceiling here in the old Civic Arena.
You saw the frustration from Lorenzo Thompson. He took his helmet off and threw it down on the ground, and no additional flags were thrown, but that is not necessarily a thing that is uncommon here inside the Civic Arena. We have seen many throw-offs go off the video scoreboard or off the rafters or some speakers that hang just a little bit lower than the initial rafters, so always a common thing. That's been a thing for the Goats just in general this year, is the throw-off infractions. So short field here for the Axemen right at midfield. Williams lined up about 5 yards back of Freeman. He fakes the give to Sweeney. Now he wants to run, looking for an alley, and not going to get very far.
That was dangerously close to crossing outside that running range as well. They'll say that one was clean, but it doesn't matter much. Only a gain of maybe a yard. Great open field tackle there for St. Joseph. Good defense all around.
That was Raymond Boone that came flying in, number 3. What an addition he has been. The product out of Bowie State University. 11 tackles, make it now 12, and 1 interception on the year.
Oh, what a play.
Now, and speaking of the devil, Mike Reynolds, who slings Boo Williams into the wall. They let the play keep going, so we'll see where exactly they mark him down, but it's going to be a loss no matter what here for Eau Claire. And Mike Reynolds making his presence still again early here.
And Devon Ford just nowhere to operate once he got his hands on that football. Slung into the wall, and a bit of a delay on the whistle as well, as I believe he was, and they are ruling that that is where he was down, but then about 5 more seconds of football got played after that.
Now a throw one-on-one, and incomplete. A couple of men having a chance. Zach Cretson, receiver for Eau Claire, and back in coverage for St. Joe, able to break that pass up. So now you got a 4th and 11 scenario here, right near midfield. This is where you started this possession. You actually have just netted a yard loss total, so they're going to decide to go ahead and go for this. If they were to surrender, it would only move the ball about 11 yards, and that's exactly what they need. So no harm in trying to go for this 4th down conversion.
I wouldn't try to test Clarence Taylor on these key downs like they just did on that last play.
Pressure, Mike Reynolds. And the former Kansas Jayhawk gets in the backfield again, his 4th sack in 2 games.
It's the grave digger afterwards. Had a monster week against Iowa last week here on the channel, and makes the big-time defensive play on 4th down. That's going to turn them over. The Goats are going to have great field position. You kind of felt like some of the air had been let out of the fans when Clarence Taylor couldn't get the interception on the last play. Well, as it turns out, better for it in the end. Mike Reynolds coming up huge once again.
He has been on a tear. Now Trujillo scrambling around, fires middle of the field, caught. This is Ryan Martinez, had the electric touchdown last week into the walls. More fans take a tumble. Everybody's okay. And nice show of sportsmanship there from Martinez. A young man took a tumble, and he says, here, have a game ball.
That was a professional tumble into that wall right there. We had a bit of an incident in that exact same suite last week thanks to a hit along the wall. And that particular area has been taking a beating these last 2 weeks, huh?
Another throw in distress. Trujillo finds Burnett again, staying busy early in this one. As he takes it inside the 10, close to 1st down yardage. They say he has enough. They'll officially mark him at the 9.
Well, that's where you get your money's worth if you pay for one of these sideline suites, evidently.
Odell.
That's where all the action seems to be taking place.
Trujillo with the lane to the 5, allows it backwards in. Wasn't expecting it was Burnett's. Now a scrum on the fumble, but all indications show that St. Joe able to get on top of it, and thankfully they do. It's Burnett that recovers.
Yeah, heads up by Burnett there, jump back on top of that. Not something, if you're Trujillo, you necessarily need to be risking, especially on 1st down like that. Not super in love with the decision.
With time, fires, and end zone, touchdown, St. Joe. Finds his man in the back right corner. And it's Ryan Martinez.
Ryan Martinez, the big play man. Normally they look for him in those long yardage situations, but here coming up, almost more of a slot receiver type of a route on that play. Gets into the end zone, and here come the Goats finally clicking.
Another 2-point try. Trujillo with the lane, decides to throw back to the end zone. This time Lorenzo Thompson is the man. And St. Joe starts this game 12 unanswered, 14 unanswered.
Big time from Trujillo there to keep that back foot just on the other side of the 10 to make sure that the pass was still legal when he released it. And just like that, we got more free t-shirts being thrown out. 14-0 Goats, who have had some slow starts this year, Dylan. This is good to see from their team.
No doubt about it. This is something, you go back to that matchup against Eau Claire 2 weeks ago up in Wisconsin. They started out, got the ball, first 2 weeks, all the story was about this offense and kind of how sluggish and slow they were. That was the first official start for an entire game for Angelo Trujillo, and they went into Eau Claire. They scored on the opening drive, had some struggles in the first half, and ended up finishing the game scoring on 7 of their last 9 possessions, and eventually put that one away as they were able to pick up the win. So far, the lone win of the year for St. Joseph, 55-46. Defense came up with some big turnovers late in the end. Now looking to take the first 2 of the season against Eau Claire, and a nice job by the throw-off team getting down the field And the Axemen will start inside their own 5. Officially, they'll mark it in the neighborhood of the 4, as not able to get a big return was Devon Ford.
So back in the old NFL days, when a touchback brought it out to the 20, it was considered like a huge momentum swing for your team and your defense. If you could make the tackle inside the 20, very rare that happens in a league like this Arena League where the touchback is the 5. But man, Jalen Jordan coming up and laying the wood. And we'll see if that doesn't fire up this defense even more than they already are.
Leads the team, 25 tackles and a sack in 3 games. He's been huge in this addition to this defense as they hand it off to Ford again. He takes it to about the 10, maybe the 11.
Be careful by that wall right there around the 10-yard line. It's that same section every single time, Dylan. I tell you what.
Always got to keep your head on a swivel here whenever you're on the sidelines of a football game in the Arena League.
Don't put your drink on the wall.
Joel Shaw is going to take the snap here. He will hand it off to McSweeney. He makes a couple men miss, but then gobbled up just shy of the 15. It'll be a 3rd and short scenario here for Eau Claire.
So 3rd down and 1. How greedy do you think you'd be here, Dylan? I'd be almost a little tempted knowing that I can come back on a 4th and 1. Maybe run it right up the middle. You had some success with that on your first drive. Maybe here, run that play action off that jet sweep that you've been going. See if you can't get somebody deep.
They're still sticking with Joel Shaw at quarterback. We'll continue to keep an eye on that, filling in for Freeman.
Oh, they got him.
3rd and 1, wide open, having to wait on it, and brings it in. Will he score? Boom Williams runs it to his own man and takes it close to the 5. A big hitter for Eau Claire.
And unfortunately for Eau Claire, if they had noticed that one well earlier on in the play, he's easily walking into the end zone. But based on the reads going short to deep, which is odd for most play calls, took a little too much time. St. Joe was able to get back there and get some defenders just in time to make the tackle, save the points.
The big completion, longest of the year for Joel Shaw. Very limited as far as reps at quarterback. They tried to go with the end around again to Ford, and now he appears to be a little slow to get up. This is already a pretty banged up Eau Claire team coming in without their leading receiver and Mo Strong, 2nd-year man in the Arena League. Spent some time last year with the Duluth Harbor Monsters, and started the year here with Eau Claire, their leading receiver, just ahead of Boom Williams. So they definitely are not coming in at 100%, and now what looks like to this drive, could be the long absence of Wade Freeman, the quarterback, as Joel Shaw will take over those duties for the time being. Avoids the rush. Shaw keeping his eyes open. Time running out. Throws to the end zone and finds his man. Touchdown, Eau Claire. Pat McSweeney.
And you kind of felt like it would be McSweeney if they were going to get something going offensively. Been their best offensive player here today to this point, but man, that was all on the quarterback. What a play by Shaw. Making some guys miss in the backfield, making a spectacular play, almost a two-handed push pass, getting it into the end zone.
Took a pretty good hit as he released it to Joel Shaw, but he's got his first passing touchdown of the year. We'll have to make some more magic here on the one-point try. Puts it up, batted around, oh, and it's caught, and going in is Boom Williams, and if that's going to be the kind of night it is for Eau Claire, St. Joe might want to look out.
Yeah, so now it's going to be back on the offense to have a response. You don't want to start letting...
So they pitched it back to Ryan Martinez. It was the Week 4 highlight of the week by far. And now the Goats looking to finish the game and get the win here at home, now up by 7. And they will take over at around the 11 or 12 yard line.
Otis Odom, just no space to operate. One of the fastest players across the Arena League. That was well covered by Eau Claire. Throw-off coverage, not the easiest thing in the world in a league like this. There's just not very many bodies to send out there to try to pin in these great athletes. But a spectacular job on special teams. Now they're going to look for a big defensive stop.
Third drive of the night for St. Joe. First 2 inning and touchdowns, and Trio's going to look for it here. Has a man. Boo Smith, touchdown, St. Joseph.
That's a way to answer. Boo Smith, the big play threat, the reigning league MVP. They send him deep when they needed a response, and they get a big one.
How about that? A big 39-yard bomb down the field. Boo Smith able to reel it in. Big one for him, receiving touchdown number 13.
And a shout out to one of my ex-teammates, Jeff Smith. Looks like that was him and his boy that got the football from Boo Smith down there.
That's a keeper. Another 2-point try. Gilt's 1 for 2. Trujillo running out of time, trying to buy some more. Look at the acrobatics here. From behind, stripped and picked up. This is still a live ball, a live play. It was scooped by Otis Odom and eventually slung down to the ground by Stephen Thomas for the Axemen. And now St. Joe 1 for 3 on the night for 2-point tries, but that's exactly what we want to do, Aaron. And how important that we were talking. The defense give up the touchdown, all of a sudden 7-point ball game. How do you respond? How about a 39-yard one-play strike? Trujillo to Boo Smith.
Yeah, you can't draw it up much better than that. They gave you single coverage. You got the ex-Missouri Tiger out there. Might as well give him a shot. And a perfect pass as well with pressure right in his face. Trujillo delivered an absolute dime.
For Trujillo tonight, expected he will cross 1,000 yards passing on the season. He came into tonight with 825, and he gets a couple more of those 39-yard, 40-yard bombs down the field to Boo Smith. Lorenzo Thompson, inner goat name here. He's definitely going to pass that mark and then some. His passing touchdown now number 23 on the year. So another throw-off looming. Thompson will put it in the air for St. Joe, and again, Devon Ford back to return for Eau Claire, the leading man as far as return yards this year, coming into this game with about 500 nearly. And he will dance around 2 to 10, able to shake off one Goats tackler, and eventually Oscar Scott able to bring him down. And again, Devon Ford was slightly shaken up, getting up off the turf, but nothing too serious to bring him out of the game. And again, looking to that Axemen sideline, and Wade Freeman continues to working with his helmet off. So it looks like for the foreseeable future of this game, Aaron, Joel Shaw, the backup quarterback, is going to be taking over at signal caller.
We'll see if they even get this play off before the end of the quarter.
3, 2, 1, does not look like it, and now whistles will come in. And after a first quarter a week ago, that felt like it went on for an entire game's worth of first quarter tonight. A little bit more on the traditional path. 20-7 goes long. Second drive for Joel Shaw, quarterback, filling in for Wade Freeman, who is his time right now, or at least his health, as they hand it off to McSweeney here. He gets about half the yards they need. Is a little bit up in the air right now. Wade Freeman, he exited the game, was not out there for the touchdown drive, the last drive of the first quarter for Eau Claire, and right now they're still sticking with Shaw. So all we know right now, Wade Freeman III could possibly be done for the night. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
You can see now, though, the strategy has been
had plenty of room over there on that far side as Williams lowers the shoulder right near midfield. First down and then some.
Find ways to get number 4 the football. As you mentioned, in a slew of injuries to a lot of their skill positions, and now their quarterback. So they've just taken to their best athlete and said, all right, you're going to touch the football as often as we can get it to you. And then everyone in blue try to tackle.
And for Joel Shaw, he had a total of 7 passing yards on the year. Now kind of bobbles the snap, going to try to run himself. He's a big fellow, big load to take down. He's able to fight and maybe get back to the line of scrimmage.
That's part of the issue, though, with the rules here in the Arena League, updated this year. You have a blown play like that, one of the handcuffs on the quarterback. You're not allowed to just take off and run with it anywhere you please. You still have to adhere to the rush lane rules. You're going to have to cross the line of scrimmage between the hash marks. And obviously no one was running a pass route on the play. Really limits you on plays like that.
2nd and 10, Sweeney deep. Shaw trying to buy time. Pressure coming now. Fires down the field, and a flag will come in. He tries to float it down the field to Crenton again. And they were going to get a flag on St. Joe in the coverage of Brian Foy Jr. as he made contact early.
Yeah, Foy timed that one poorly and never turned around. He had no idea where that football was. Bad positioning leads to penalties.
Took all the way to the second quarter, but there's our first penalty of the game tonight. Set it up 1st and 10 at the St. Joseph 15. And insert back into the game, Wade Freeman III.
Well, I guess we've been answered. So back to running back goes Shaw. At least opens up a few other options that they'll now have on offense other than just try to feed McSweeney.
And so far for Shaw, he's orchestrated the low touchdown drive of the Knights. Now Freeman will take over. Short distance gill, 15 to pay dirt. Going for Shaw. And great defense. Able to bat that one away. Jalen knocks the big fella out of Mizzou and Ole Miss.
It just means more.
It just means more. You are 100% right.
SEC
on
product.
that.
Great play on that one. Quickly trying to see if Shaw has still got his downfield route running shoes on after switching to quarterback. Runs the corner route. Knox played it beautifully.
Great coverage, a late season edition here. 9.5 tackles through 2 games for Knox. He gets the pass break up there. Now another throw, and this is going to go incomplete. And now a chance for someone in those nearby suites to take home a souvenir. Now 3 straight incompletions for Wade Freeman.
We agree. Gives us an opportunity to again talk about one of the fun rules about attending these games live. Footballs that end up over that wall, you take them home with you. Those are free.
It's just like in baseball and the MLB, you get it, you get to take it home. Now a 3rd down to 10, undoubtedly 4th down territory here for Eau Claire. Freeman, pressure up the middle, fires over the middle, and it's incomplete again and again. It is Jalen Knox in coverage.
That is 3 consecutive plays that have all been made by Jalen Knox, and I know the last one was just a throwaway, but that one again was because 26, they were trying to hit McSweeney on that quick hitch, and Knox came sprinting downhill. If that ball had been released by Freeman, I mean, you're talking about Knox would have been celebrating in the end zone. We probably would have had another fan with a souvenir.
Knox, a 2-time SEC Freshman of the Week when he was at Mizzou, transferred his senior year to Ole Miss. He's as good as they come. Now 4th and 10, needing yardage, under pressure, and Wilson has him wrapped up. Throw is... It is Boom Williams that comes up with it, and they're going to say it's a touchdown.
Clarence Taylor was trying to literally force him out of bounds. He was trying to throw him over the wall while he was leaning on it, and he was able to fight his way, get his center of gravity back underneath his hips and come back in, get him back onto the turf. And a 4th down and 10 turns touchdown. That's been another issue for the Goats defense all season long. Those 3rd and forever, those 4th and forevers have been an issue for them.
And with Malik Wilson draped on Freeman as like a cape, as the challenge flag is going to come in here from head coach Dorsey Golston of St. Joe.
He believes that
15-yard strike. Freeman to Boom Williams. 2nd touchdown of the night. Back-to-back scoring drives for Eau Claire. Now bobbled here. And Freeman trying to get away, looking to throw, and he does, and it's picked off. Jalen Knox, have yourself a defensive stand. He's brought down technically by the horse collar, but on the return, he takes it out to about the Goats 20. Not once, but twice drops the ball. Now he throws it into the fence, and
ended up
a nice souvenir.
Well, the defensive play was better than the celebration. We'll say that. The defensive play was elite there from Jalen Knox. Just trying to force something there from the quarterback position. It's just a conversion play. It's not the end of the world if you have a turnover, as long as you make the tackle at the back end of it. But well played defensively by the Goats all around. After the bobbled exchange on the attempt at the handoff, almost everyone up front was just blocking, so not a lot of places to go with the ball until someone turned their head, and then Knox was ready for it once the pass came out. And now, once again, we'll see if the Goats offense has a response so they can keep a little bit of cushion between them and Eau Claire.
Is now back 7-point game, 20-13, pending the upcoming throw-off here. Looks like number 21, Kendall Fowler, is going to send it to the air. Otis Odom will return it for St. Joe. It is Otis Odom, 2nd in the league this year as far as total yardage on throw-offs, just behind the man for Eau Claire, Devon Ford. Fowler puts it into the air. It's going to be taken at the 5. Odom,
he's got a lane.
Looking for a return. Had a lane closed up. Finds another and takes it out to about the 20-yard line.
Good vision there from Odom. It's a lot easier for us up here, Dylan, looking at it from the sky view. But for Odom downfield level, sometimes it's a lot harder to see those lanes open up in real speed when everyone out there is moving as fast as they are. Found a nice cut lane, got it upfield, and nice starting field position here for the Goats.
1st and 10 at their own 20. It's been nothing but pay dirt tonight for St. Joe. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. Gets it out, Smith. Gets around one man trying to spin and pushed up against the wall. Still gets about 5 or 6.
Usually a good way to keep your touchdown streak alive is to see how many times you can get number 1 the football.
He was held kind of quiet in the first about 3 weeks of action. He exploded last week, and so far off to a good start here tonight. And a flag is going to come in as Demarius Washington for St. Joe was kind of tackled down to the ground. If there's any Saints fans watching this game today, that might remind you of a certain playoff game and a certain no call. But this one, flag comes in.
Number 6, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And 15-yard penalties here in the Arena League, not spot fouls, but big penalty nonetheless, and the first penalty of the game against Eau Claire.
It's difficult to interfere with a pass more than that. He just put a shoulder right into his chest there, the intended receiver for Washington. And yeah, that's free yardage for the Goats, who already haven't needed much help offensively.
The blink of an eye at the Axemen 15 throws. Washington looking for his first catch, and are they going to give it to him there? He does. Bobbled, but kept it alive up near the wall and caught it just a couple of inches in front of a fan's face.
He's going to need to be careful here. You don't want to get your first catch and then immediately give away 15 yards.
End zone throw, and it goes incomplete.
Boo Smith, a rare drop. That one hit him right on the 1. And he just couldn't quite squeeze the fingers. You don't see that very often, Dylan.
And you don't want that to be a reason why this drive starts to fall apart. Want to bounce back here. Finds his man, Otis Odom. Touchdown, St. Joe. 4 scoring drives to start this game.
Well, thankfully, it didn't do much damage at all. The Goats just able to overcome it with such ease. The offense making it look easy here tonight. This is kind of more reminiscent of the St. Joe Goats, the Kansas City Goats at the time that we saw most of last year.
The artist formerly known as the Kansas City Goats starting to come alive here in St. Joe. Trujillo with a run lane, and oh my goodness, he tried to lateral it back to Odom.
I actually think as he was jumping, he was trying to stretch it over the line, and I think the defender just hit his arm so hard the ball went flying out of his hand.
These are playlists.
I was definitely thinking if he holds on to that and jumps forward, that I think he might have been able to land into the end zone. Odom was the closest go to it, but he was over his head and out of play near the Goats bench. So another 2-point try, unsuccessful, but a touchdown nonetheless. 4 straight scoring drives here tonight for St. Joseph. They extend on their lead even more, 26-13.
And you and I were discussing it in the pregame, Dylan, that one of the issues the Goats have had this year has just been the mental fortitude of when another team starts to get a little momentum brewing on them. That thing that just kind of clicks in the back of your brain that says, oh no, here we go again. And you kind of can self-fulfill the prophecy and create these issues where you let other teams go on big runs. But today, Eau Claire's put together a couple of nice drives, gotten some lucky breaks, had some things go their way, and St. Joe has not been forced to respond, to react.
Got to get on top of this one, and
because St. Joe has been able to respond well every single time.
Did Devon Ford get on top of that, or is this going to be a recovery for St. Joe?
If that's
get the offense back on the field.
This is going to be huge.
Trying to figure it out layer by layer, and they do say that Devon Ford, or at least a Axemen, got back on top of that football. We've seen the Goats have their fair shares of troubles with kind of those 50-50 kind of throw-offs. It takes a high bounce. You think it's a touchback, but it's not. That one went forward, so you had to return it. And Devon Ford nearly lost it on the fumble, but able to recover it. So essentially, you'll start the drive at your own about 7-yard line. So not the worst-case scenario there for Eau Claire. Shaw back at quarterback now. Take the snap at around his own 2. Motion, 2 men going. He hands it to McSweeney. He tries a spin move, trying to get away from Raymond Boone. I believe he lost his footing right near the line of scrimmage. So about no gain there, second down.
They might have just blown a tire trying to make a cut. The turf they use in these Arena League games, it's a little bit shorter than the classic field turf. It's a little bit more slippery as a result.
It is. It's kind of like a slick carpet. Just think of it that way. Shaw will try it this time. Able to get by one, and now another. And Joel Shaw with a head of steam takes it to midfield.
Kind of an interesting running style there. Is he thought there were goats maybe around him that weren't. He was really making sure he protected that ball. Might have been better off just booking it at full speed around that corner. And you know, if someone nicks your toe and trips you up, so be it. But still gets a big play and a first down either way.
The leading rusher on this team, just 92 yards on the season. The Axemen not necessarily known for their rushing abilities as they try to go around the edge again over on the far side for you folks at home.
Yeah, Jalen Jordan's not going to let him pad those stats whatsoever. Comes flying in, makes that hit. It's going to be second down and long.
The ball is placed right at midfield. Joel Shaw and Wade Freeman kind of trading off reps at quarterback. Shaw had a drive. The last drive went to Freeman. Now Shaw is back out there. Throws, and that one incomplete over the top of the cleats of McSweeney over the middle of the field.
I don't know if his arm got hit or that ball got tipped, but it came out fluttering and well off target.
There's your first incompletion of the night for Joel Shaw. It definitely was not the tightest spiral coming out of his arm. And now the fans here at Pacific Arena starting to get loud. Want a patented goat sack here.
This is usually Mike Reynolds' time on those third and longs, assuming someone doesn't win a one-on-one downfield, because again, those have burned the goats this year.
Try to go short and again to McSweeney, and again it goes spiked into the turf. And now for Eau Claire, your decision at midfield. Will you surrender, move the ball 10 yards deeper, or are you going to try to go for it here? And again, there's no harm in going for it. Cue in Wade Freeman. He'll come back on the field. So not entirely sure what the reason or the circumstances are for the change off at quarterback. It's been Wade Freeman taking the vast lion's share of the snaps at quarterback this season. They bring him on here, 4th and 10. They need to get to the 15. Pressure coming. Boone brings him down for St. Joe.
Big time play. Raymond Boone bringing the boom. And another 4th down sack. That's the second time in this first half the Goats have given their offense great field position thanks to the pass rush.
Second sack of the night for St. Joseph. Their sack numbers just continue to skyrocket. They were able to collect 5 as a total team. 3 of them belonging to Mike Reynolds a week ago. And now 2 early here before halftime, and still have a little over 4 minutes and change before we hit the locker rooms here. Odom trying to make a move in space, but he's going to be wrapped up as he fights to get back to the line of scrimmage, and he might have just done that. Wrapped up immediately by Princeton on the play.
Big time defensive play there by Eau Claire. This could be a real backbreaker if the Goats can find a way to get 6 more on the board.
Trujillo fires, has a man, but drops for Thompson. Looked like it caught a piece of his face mask or his shoulder pad kind of awkwardly, and it goes incomplete.
And Thompson either saying my bad or letting him know exactly where on his chest that ball hit. But yeah, another drop from the Goats here. That's already 2 perfectly thrown balls that have been dropped by Goats receivers.
2 plays to get 10 yards to go to the ground. Odom with some space. He blows a tire. Comes up just shy of the 10, but some good yardage picked up to bring up 4th and manageable.
Who iced off the field?
And a throw, and it's intercepted on a 4th down play. Needed it there for St. Joe, and it's going to be the first turnover of the night for the Goats as it goes over the head and into the arms of Dietrich Lutton.
That is exactly the defensive stand that Eau Claire desperately needed. This game could have been a bit of a laugher here early on if the Goats had kept the offensive momentum rolling. And now, a little under 3.5 minutes left to play here in the half, and the Axemen with a real golden opportunity to draw this thing back within a possession. Try to get some big second half momentum on their side, the same way Iowa was in this same building last week.
Both teams now 1 turnover. Now Freeman looking to cash in down the field, has McSweeney, and batting it out of bounds, incomplete. Brian Foyt Jr. on the coverage, his 2nd game as a Goat.
That's one thing as well that you're definitely seeing here tonight is the secondary for the Goats is holding up a lot better than they were against the top offense in the league in Iowa a week ago.
It's Iowa and it's St. Joe, the top two scoring offenses in the league. St. Joe, the best passing offense. 2nd and 10, Freeman pumps once, twice, now will throw down the field, has a man open, and it's over his head, and a flag will come in. Too tight a coverage from Malik Wilson, but you can also have the argument, as Austin Batcher might be saying, that I had a chance to bring that one in, even though it was overthrown, it's because I was being held.
Defense number 10, 10-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Definitely agree with the holding there more than pass interference. I don't think that ball was anywhere near catchable, but I mean, you just got to let him go. You can't get a handful of jersey like that and keep blocking with him basically down the field.
They take Shaw out of the game, Williams back in. He'll line out down at the bottom of your screen. Williams and Ford, the man in motion, hand it to him. And he will get a few over there on that far side.
I imagine that's going to be the 2-minute warning here.
And that would appear to be the case.
2-minute timeout.
Going there.
Yeah. Don't see that all too often here in the Arena League. And it's Shaw that will pull it right near midfield, driven backwards and not going to get anywhere. Knocks it on the play. Malik Wilson as well for St. Joe.
You're not going to be able to get too much on the ground against this St. Joe defense. That is one thing that they have been stout against for most of the year.
A big loss, too. Backs it up nearly 4 yards. Not ideal there. Loss of 3 or 4 officially. Freeman back at quarterback. Simply 3rd down and 10. Gets it out quick. Sweeney. Knocked down immediately by Knox.
That's going to bring up a 4th down and medium here. Knox has had that little hitch route unblocked for most of the night. Sweeney, they've really been working that route concept on that backside of a lot of these plays. Clearly something about it that they like, but it has not been particularly electric to this point.
His 4th reception, nobody else on the team has more than 2. Does McSweeney. He goes in motion on this snap. Got to have it here on 4th down. They go McSweeney's way. If he breaks a tackle, he might have him, but he's going to come up about, I believe he is short.
You'll never guess what route they had him running on that play, too. As he comes up just a little bit short on the play, the Goats defense comes up big, and again, I mean, you had a 4th down and 7. You had your best receiver run a 4-yard hitch. You put the ball on him, that's great. Maybe you're expecting some run after catch, but I mean, it's not necessarily a short route where he's still moving up the field. You put the ball on him and defenders are right on his back. Great effort by number 4. Almost got the yardage necessary, but not overly in love with that route concept.
So off the interception the last drive, the Goats will come out firing. It's Washington that brings it in from Trujillo. He gets exactly 10. One play, first set of downs.
As the clock definitely becoming a factor here. We're down inside a minute.
Second catch of the night for Washington in his Goats debut. Trujillo fires into stress, goes incomplete, definitely influencing that. Jacob Davies with pressure on that rush for Eau Claire.
So now 23 seconds here, Dylan. So we'll see who they decide to try to go to. Is they're going to have to try to put some balls toward the end zone, you'd imagine.
But down short, Oda looking for some blocks. Oh, and he does, and he was able to squirt through that window.
Or maybe not.
St. Joe with timeouts in their pocket on that first down conversion. Will they elect to use some? Not for the time being. Goal to go now for St. Joe. Trujillo over the middle. Touchdown, Goats. Ryan Martinez
loved the route there. Released off his block and just ran that spot route right at the A in the middle of the end zone on the Goats logo. And now an opportunity for St. Joseph. They score here, and they're going to get the ball to begin the second half as well. Opportunity for the good old double dip.
No doubt about it. Not even burning a single timeout. Very efficient. Trujillo with the lane will fire to the end zone. 2 goats in the area. Washington reached out for it, and I believe if he didn't touch it, Boo Smith might have been able to bring it in. A pair of new teammates. That chemistry not quite down yet, but Boo Smith loves seeing that they're talking with Washington and just saying, "You're good, big fella." But another conversion failure. That brings the goats down for 1 for 6 on the night for 2-point conversions, or just any conversions after touchdowns. Could be something to potentially keep an eye on. But so far, most of the things going the way of the Goats, 32-13, and we're down in the final seconds here in the first half. St. Joe will receive the opening throw-off to start the third quarter. So if you're a St. Joe fan or a Goats player or a coach on that sideline right now, you got to be feeling pretty well right now. Spirit's got to be high.
Absolutely. You got a 19-point lead. You need to just prevent any shenanigans on this throw-off, and then go to the halftime locker room, come back out. You're going to get the ball to begin the second half. Your offense is on fire. This is the best game St. Joseph has played all year, and definitely rewarding the fans who've come out once again. After an 0-2 home start for St. Joseph, the fans that came out here to watch them play this third home game, getting their money's worth.
Ford at his own goal line with some space, hammered into the wall around the 20, falls forward. That was it. That ran out the rest of the time here in this first half. So it was throw-off return for touchdown or bust there for Eau Claire. And the second week in a row, St. Joe will lead at halftime, their largest halftime lead of the season. Throw-off is in the air. Odom, the return man for St. Joe, looking for a window. Gets some good blocks. He takes it past the 15 and takes a tumble down, not shortly after, wrapped up by Patcher on the play for Eau Claire. Angelo Trujillo and his offense back to work here. 14-17, 126 yards, 5 total touchdowns in that first half alone for Trujillo. He has settled in to a nice groove. He had 8 total passing touchdowns 2 weeks ago in his first matchup against Eau Claire, and he is on pace to beat that pace and
Josh,
then some.
I'm checking in with Chip.
We'll see what happens here in the second half. Goats, like we mentioned, highly efficient. They go on the ground to Jarius Burnett. He goes past the 20. He gets about half the yardage needed there.
And Demarius Washington thankfully hops right back up to his feet. His knees took a bit of a beating at the end of that run. Nobody's safe from the hard running of Burnett.
Give it to him again. Oh, takes a good shot up around the head. Jack Crenton. Ooh, man.
Well, I said nobody was safe from the hard running of Burnett, but Shaq Currington. Oh my goodness.
Fake it to Burnett. Now Trujillo will roll around looking for some time. Hot on his heels, and he'll just throw it out of play.
Oh, good hands on the fan in the front row. Went back and plucked that thing.
Get that man in a Ghost jersey back here in 2 weeks. That'll be St. Joe's next game off the 4th of July weekend, and then back here at home as we'll host the other new team this season in the Arena League, the Hot Springs Wise Guys, Saturday, July 12th. Get your tickets now. Trujillo over the middle, finds his man Boo Smith, breaks off one would-be tackler, comes back over the middle and is hammered. He's taken down at around the 13.
Maybe one cutback too many there, but once again finding a way to get Boo Smith the ball. And yeah, as you mentioned, a 3 consecutive home game stand here for the Ghosts. Could be big for flipping their season.
Throw across the field, and that one will get out of play and complete. And the other advantage, too, is we know the position the Goats are in, 1-3. They're going to need to pretty much win out to really put themselves in a high advantage to get that home playoff game. The good news is you play 2 teams your last 4 games. These Eau Claire Axemen, you got one more trip up to Wisconsin, and then you'll play back-to-back games against the Wise Guys of Hot Springs. As Burnett will take it past the 10 and goal to go coming up here for St. Joe.
Yeah, thankfully, no sign of Currington on that collision, and he was able to barrel his way forward, lower that shoulder, 1st and goal.
Trujillo might take off, and he will. Looking for the end zone. He's in.
Good open field running there from number 2, and we talked about it. That's what the Goats needed to do coming out here. Got the touchdown to end that first half, turn around, get the ball, go down, score more points. The Goats not taking any chances here. They're keeping their foot on the gas pedal. And if you can, go ahead and just bury your opponent in this league. We all know how quickly games can flip.
The only real knock on the Goats tonight is 1 for 5 on 2-point conversions. Looking to start 1 for 1 here in the second half. Martinez, he'll do it.
Ryan Martinez seems to have a knack for just wiggling his way up the field for those seemingly impossible yards. He also seems to have a knack for 4th and 20 for whatever reason.
Has a knack for coming up with the big plays when the Ghosts need them the most. You can definitely say that about Ryan Martinez. The opening drive goes down the field and scores. So another successful drive here for St. Joe. It is now 40-13 and kind of getting into that territory for Eau Claire. If you don't come up with a response, and the response is able to string together a couple of scoring drives followed by stops through the Axemen, you could be looking on the way of a potential rout. So anyway, trying to stay into this ball game. We'll see what they do here on offense coming up. The big story for them is the quarterback position coming into tonight. Wade Freeman, traditional starter all throughout the season, and we saw him get taken out for a drive after starting with a turnover and then a turnover on downs. The third drive belonged to Joel Shaw. He orchestrated a touchdown, and it's been him and Freeman. It's been kind of trading off reps ever since then. Ford looking for a big return to set his team up. He carries some Goats defenders with him, about 5 yards, but then crosses the 15 and will be brought down shortly after that. So we'll see who exactly is at the helm to start the second half for Eau Claire. As Wade Freeman is out there, so is Joel Shaw. Shaw traditionally the running back and Freeman the quarterback, like we mentioned. So again, not exactly 100% clear why the kind of been going back and forth. Maybe just trying to throw this Ghost defense off their path a little bit, but only 13 points mustered in that first half hasn't entirely worked.
And the Goats haven't necessarily been relying too much on their defense to this point in the year. Nice change of pace as they're
Freeman going to look for the shot. Boone Williams is there, and it's incomplete. Zip-lock coverage from Jalen Knox again. He has had a terrific day in that defensive secondary.
Yeah, I mean, if Mike Reynolds was last week's Defensive Player of the Week for the Goats, you'd have to give it here thus far to Jalen Knox. He has been spectacular at the back end in coverage. Didn't fall for the double move whatsoever as Eau Claire was coming out looking for the big shot. That one didn't work, so they might have to try to claw their way back into this the more traditional sense.
A pair of SEC guys, Boone Williams out of the University of Kentucky and Knox the man from Mizzou and Ole Miss. Joel Shaw will be brought to the wall.
Oh, we got another fan.
Mike Reynolds will do the courtesy of checking on the fan this time, and all indications look that everyone is going to be okay. No one immediately seeking medical attention, so
yeah, hops right back up to his feet. That's good to see.
Get that fan a nice souvenir to take home, perhaps. Third down here for Eau Claire. Take the snap at their own 18. Freeman out quick. Boone Williams is there.
That's going to be real close. Far side marker is laying down. It's not standing straight up, so it's hard to see.
They call him just short.
Yeah, exactly where the base of it is. It's kind of hidden in the shadows. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to be 4th down and anywhere between half a yard and a yard. It's hard to see specifically. Might be a situation where they go right back to Shaw, though.
You get into Ghost territory, you basically pick up the first down. That's about all they need is a yard at most. Freeman going to do it himself, and he does.
So instead, they let the smaller, shiftier runner take it, but it works for the first down. I thought maybe they'd give that one to Shaw. Let him just lower his shoulder and lean forward for half a yard. But they had me fooled as well, used him as a decoy, and Freeman picks it up. Big matchup bottom of your screen, Taylor.
Oh, what a nice grab from McSweeney.
On McSweeney, as I was just about to finish the sentence. And McSweeney comes up with a big one-handed grab.
So fellow tight end yourself, that's got to make your heart swell up a little bit there. And the one-handed grab.
Oh, that was just beautiful. And then surviving the hit, because, you know, hits don't really bother the big fellas. Love a bit of contact down there. That was the matchup I was most excited to see. Was one of the best covered players on the back end, one of the most physical for the Goats in Taylor up against McSweeney. We got it on that play.
Game high 6 reception brought in by McSweeney, and the running game continues to be stifled out by this Goats defense. Boyd Jr. in on the stop again for St. Joe. Pretty much no gain. Actually lost some. Back about 1 or 2 yards, goes to yard to gain.
Eau Claire has not been a phenomenal rushing offense to this point on the season, and St. Joseph has not been very suspect defensively in the run game. It's a matchup built for St. Joe's advantage.
Freeman to the end zone. McSweeney. Oh, he brought it down over a defender.
My word! What a grab from the big fellow. Went right over the top of Raymond Boone and brought it in. That's the advantage of having a tight end rostered in a 7-on-7 league format like this.
His game leading now 7th reception for McSweeney and his 2nd touchdown. Just what you needed here for Eau Claire. Keep yourselves in this ball game.
And the native of Staten Island still sporting the green and white. And he looked like a Sunday tight end with that last play.
Pressure coming loose. Freeman in zone. Oh my goodness. Bring it in. Nearly takes the wall down. The conversion is good. Joel Shaw, the one able to bring it down, nearly dismantling our wall here on the near side of the end zone. Good job by the Goats staff and crew on hand here to get that wall restructured and back up. So what an answer there for Eau Claire. First on the touchdown grab from Ted McSweeney, 15-yard strike, and now the conversion try afterwards. Joel Shaw brings down another 50-50 ball, so that now makes the score at 40-20.
Yeah, we saw 3 highlight reel-esque catches on that series for the Eau Claire Axemen. And for St. Joe, that would be kind of my message as the coaching staff on the sideline. Hey, they went to the well on that drive. They gave you their best shots and came away with points. You're still up 20. Don't let it get to you. That's what they need to do to get in the end zone. We just got to keep doing our thing. Keep getting after them. Keep the foot on the gas pedal. Keep putting up points. Defense, don't change a thing. If they make great plays, great. Make them beat you that way.
Odom again on the return. Voice of Trevor has a wide open gap, and he's going to take it into Axemen territory. Stops at the 20, to the 15, slowed down hard, down to the turf. But great starting field position here for St. Joe.
Last week it was Eau Claire who took one back to the house in their matchup. And here, almost the victims of special teams big playery.
Odom came very, very close, and we've been talking a couple times, you and I, our kind of bird's eye view. We've seen the running lanes, just been waiting for Odom to really been able to hit one hard. Start on the ground here to Burnett, maybe a yard or so, but nothing more. But he finally found one wide enough, hit through it. Nice shifty movement from Odom, too. Very slippery in the open field, and even bottom an extra about 4 or 5 yards there at the end.
Just an unfortunate pairing of play calls there as Eau Claire brought the run blitz on a play you happen to have that run play called.
Burnett, again, piece of the turf comes up and driving it backwards. So now off the promising return from Odom, the first 2 plays of the drive for St. Joe not going as planned.
Yeah, now this is exactly what Eau Claire needed if they wanted to spark a big-time comeback.
With time, Trujillo steps up, fires, Boo Smith right in the chest. Saw him drop one like that a little earlier in the first half, but he holds on to that one, and still 4th down play coming here for St. Joe. I haven't had very many of those, if they've had any of those tonight. I believe 1, if memory serves me right, so the 2nd total. Here it comes. 4th and about 2 or 3, Trujillo is going to try to run, and himself he's wrapped up high around the helmets, and he's brought down. He gets to the 1st down yardage. No flags come in afterwards, so goal to go now for St. Joe.
Oh, and that's Dedrick Luton in his first game as an Axeman. Perfectly clean tackle, got him by the shoulder pads and just dragged him down. Uh-oh.
Now this could be a live ball up against the wall, and Eau Claire is on top of it, and it's going to be a strip sack and a fumble recovery for the Axemen.
That is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Axemen of Eau Claire. They have been desperate to find some way to flip the momentum in this game, as the Goats have just been dominant from start to where we are now. They get the touchdown to answer the Goats' open of the half touchdown, and then make a big defensive stand after Odom gave the Goats excellent field position to begin that drive. Goats will come away with nothing off the fumble.
A chance to really maybe perhaps put the nail in the coffin, and instead it was the strip sack. Stephen Thomas, the man recovery for Eau Claire. And now all of a sudden a score here. This is a brand new ball game. Take your shot down the field. McSweeney can't bring that one in.
And McSweeney still almost came away with it. That was perfectly played down the field by Jalen Knox once again. They were trying to get the double move, the little move to the outside. We used to call that a stick and nod. You make the fake to the outside about 1 or 2 steps and then run to the post. They were trying to get him to shake Knox and just get a nice open route down the middle seam. Instead, Knox played it brilliantly, was in great position, and then what an effort from McSweeney. Still almost came down with it. They're trying it again.
2nd and 10, this time caught and with some room to run. Heavy thud. Look at the big fella rumble. David Facone, first time we've got to call his name tonight. And he takes it into Goats territory at the 24.
There's clearly something about whether you're from the area or not, you head up north toward Wisconsin, they fill you up with those cheddar dogs and cheese real early. Suddenly you're bringing the thunder, you got a little weight behind you as you're out there on the football field. They got some thudders on this roster.
Freeman will try to run, not going to get far. Boone, Reynolds, and company in there. Jalen Jordan as well. Nice minimal stop there by this Goats defense. Much needed. Perhaps reeling a little bit.
Yeah, big time play from the defensive front there. Been kind of a quiet night from the defensive line. Haven't made quite as many plays as they were able to last week. Ironically, in a much more offensive-driven game against Iowa. Here, the defense as a whole playing much better, but the defensive line not making as many splash plays.
Freeman again up the middle, has some space. His longest run of the night is he gets the first down and then a yard or two extra at the end.
Nice drive once again, Eau Claire. The offense is looking good here in the second half.
Taking advantage, going right at the heart of that defense. One-on-one, Marcelo Holguin is one-on-one pretty much the entire night with Mike Reynolds, and with how big of a night Big Mike had last week, Holguin has kept him in check for the most part here tonight. Pressure coming, Jordan, but able to throw it incomplete. The intended receiver on the play, Joel Shaw.
Shaw almost ended up as a souvenir there, able to just keep himself on this side of that fence.
2nd and 10 play moving up here. Pressure was coming in hot from Jalen Jordan, 5'9", 180 pounds out of South Alabama. Also had some time at Ole Miss.
And I think the pressure is what forced a little bit of extra mustard on the pass. A little bit more touch, and maybe you're able to complete that ball outside.
Jordan might be coming again, and he does in that backfield. Good job for Eau Claire. That was Shaw that got a block on Jordan that gave Boone Williams a chance to make something happen up in the middle. But again, a minimal gain might just then back to the line of scrimmage. Will back it up actually a half yard.
And Malik Wilson clearly heard me a second ago say the defensive line hadn't made too many big splash plays this week. Comes knifing through, gets the TFL.
Back-to-back carries here for Boone Williams that get negative yards. 3rd and 11. Shaw in motion. Fake to give to him. Now to Williams again. Gets free of Malik Wilson. And Wilson also part of Mike Reynolds not getting too far from Holguin as Williams just kind of ran out of real estate there. 4th down play here. Big play early in the second half.
An interesting play call there for 3rd and long. And the Goats were not fooled by it in the slightest. But here you go, another 4th down in double digits. This is where we're going to see how this secondary holds up. These plays have hurt the Goats all season.
The Axemen scored on a 4th and 15 play. That was the receiving touchdown from Boom Williams, and trying to make it happen here again, Freeman, but he is tracked down from behind. Malik Wilson, the sack there, and that's the turnover on downs, again forced by this St. Joe defense.
That was a coverage sack all the way. Nobody in a white jersey was even remotely open down the field. Nobody was really hitting the scramble drill either for their quarterback. The routes were swallowed up by the Goats, and by the time everyone got their heads turned around to see, oh geez, I better try to make something happen down here, then Malik Wilson was on top of their quarterback. Squad.
And compared to the game last week as well, this game has just been going by so fast. Already 4th quarter, Burnett on the ground, lowers the shoulder, able to get over Joe King on the tackle, gets close to midfield. Both teams just 2 drives in that 3rd quarter, pretty brisk, pretty fast. Goats trying to hit pay dirt again after the fumble on the last drive. Smith with space, trying to go around, gives it back to Martinez. Now this one's put on the turf, and Washington able to get on top of it. And after all of that, it's still going to be a Goats 1st down.
I'd be a lot more careful with those laterals than St. Joe is currently being. If you're up by 20, that's the one way to let a team right back into a football game. I would just take my gain of 15 and on to the next play. That's twice now they've attempted a lateral that ended up in the turf. And I believe it's the only 2 laterals they've attempted. Both of them have ended in fumbles.
Of course, the lone fumble coming on the strip sack. Thompson in the end zone. Oh, they're going to say incomplete. They're still wrestling for it. Down in the end zone. A.J. Brown in coverage. No, not A.J. Brown of the now Super Bowl champion Eagles. A.J. Brown, 6'3", 220 pounds, out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Antonio Brown Jr. is his name. And I gotta tell you, that looked very close to a Lorenzo Thompson touchdown catch, but the official comes in and says incomplete.
He also had Ryan Martinez right over the middle of the field. He never saw him, but I tell you what, from my view, partner, that looked like it hit the wall and then right back into his hands. I never saw that hit the turf. Obviously, the officials down there on the field,
well, like we said,
someone must have had a better view than I did. I don't know. That looked like it might have been a catch.
3-yard scamper there for Trujillo, getting about 3 more. 2 or 3 more, perhaps. Official mark is at the 11.
All right, well, complete.
Directing traffic. Now Trujillo, he's just going to run with it. And he's got the 1st down. Stopped short of the 5, still spinning around. And he will eventually get to the 5-yard line. Nice gumption there from Angelo Trujillo.
Nice work, keeping himself inside the hash mark, moving the chains once again. 1st and goal inside the 5.
So here we go, on the ball quick. Burnett on the handoff inside the 5, battling. There is a slew of Axemen there. Nearly all guys on the field wrapped up in that tackle.
Eau Claire got away with one there too. They had an extra man on the field. He did not get off in time. But no flag came out. Officials didn't see him. And instead, it's just going to be 2nd down.
Heavy dose of Jarius Burnett. His 7th carry in the 2nd half, reaching out and breaks the play. Touchdown, St. Joe Goats.
What an effort by big number 17. Almost old Walter Payton-like. Right over the top of the pile. A little bit of Cam Newton mixed in there, too, with the one-hand stretch. Good strong hands. Manages to keep a hold of the football through the contact. And the Goats offense just keeps pouring it on.
A super cam callback in St. Joe. I love it. Another 2-point try. Trujillo will throw, looking for his man Washington, and it goes incomplete. And on the coverage there, Dietrich Lutton once again able to break that one up.
Letting some of the fans there in the front row down there in those suites hear about it afterwards. I think one fan may have pointed up at the Jumbotron. I imagine that was to indicate at the scoreboard.
That's the classic response for anyone that might want to taunt their team is currently down. It's just a simple look at the scoreboard. It's you can't come back from it.
So it's unideal for you.
It is. So 46-20, that is the score. St. Joe has pretty much been in control from this game. Well, right from the get-go, they started scoring on 4 straight other drives. They went a perfect 3 for 3 in the first quarter. They started the second with a touchdown. They had the interception and then followed that up with a touchdown before halftime. And then the third quarter, they went touchdown, and then the fumble, the strip sack fumble. Defense made a stand, and then they go down and score again to start on the right foot here in the fourth quarter. So all signs pointing towards, of course, we've seen a lot of crazy things happen, but a 26-point lead here as we're about 12 to play in the fourth, that this has the makings to be the GOAT's second win of the season, and it would be the second win of the year against Eau Claire in that case too. In final 4-game stretch starting tonight and then for the following 3 weeks, minus the bye week next week for 4th of July weekend. 3 games against 2 opponents in these Eau Claire Axemen, and then 2 games before that against the Hot Springs Wise Guys, as this is pummeled at the goal line, and Boom Williams just trying to get out of his own end zone, avoids the safety. But we have for Eau Claire now, they will be taking over at their own 1, so the shadow of their own end zone.
And nobody is more familiar with that rule than the St. Joseph Goats. That has come up a lot here in this arena.
Yes.
And this is going to be very precarious for Eau Claire. They're going to mark it. I mean, the front tip of that ball is just at the 1-yard line.
You got maybe a foot of distance from the back of the football to the end zone, to the goal line of the end zone. Not ideal by any means, as Freeman will take this snap pretty much from the back wall. He's got a man back there with him. See, they just try to hand it off and get out, and now moving early. It's going to be a false start.
I'm not sure that that's going to affect too much, but
It's number 10.
move it back about a foot.
If there's a time, if you're David Facone, I'm sure Coach will tell you, there's a time to have a false start there, and might as well be in a scenario like that. So,
yeah, I would be hard counting on every one of these plays if I was Eau Claire, because a false start doesn't hurt you much. But if St. Joe will give you 5 freebies, that's a lot better.
no doubt. Gets it out quickly. Shaw, not going to get far in. Oh, it goes through the wall. Look out, your team. Mike Reynolds and company able to power Joel Shaw through the wall. And again, we mentioned that part of this wall on the near side of the end zone is kind of compromised a little earlier in the game, and they've been trying to make quick repairs to it on the fly. They might actually slow things down here to make sure that wall is properly.
I believe it's that particular section is only Velcroed together because that's the gate that allows the dance team to come
Perhaps
through.
so. Yeah, they're going to line up and go. I thought maybe they were going to slow things down for a second, but not going to be the case.
Mike Reynolds, natural predator of flimsy Velcro walls.
Williams gives the Axemen a little more breathing room here. Much needed.
Yeah, they desperately needed a play like that, give them a 3rd down and a little bit of operating room. Down by 26 in the 4th quarter. It feels like this is 2-down territory even from your own 9.
Williams in motion. Freeman fakes the give, and he gives it back forward, and she was wrapped up. Raymond Boone there to wrap up the secondary ball carrier. Losing yardage on 3rd down, so 4th and medium, and this could be an option potentially if you wanted to surrender, but again, looking up at that scoreboard, you're down 26 points right now. You really can't do that.
And single-digit minutes left to play.
Yep.
So they're going to go, and man, what a game for these St. Joseph Goats.
Barely at 9 minutes to go in the game. Freeman throws, caught by Shaw right near the line of game, muscling forward. He's got it, no doubt now. Still taking Goats defenders with him. Strong presence of Joel Shaw.
They needed that desperately. Shaw with some attitude as well to try to induce some juice, some energy, some life of any kind into these Axemen. Now you got to find a way to capitalize on it. 1 first down doesn't get you back into this game. You need now to score, do it quickly.
And that clock continues to run as well. Not your friend. Down 26 points. Freeman looking for the big strike. He's got McSweeney, and a flag will come in.
That's just as good as the catch. McSweeney was one-on-one down there. Not the matchup St. Joseph probably wants with Brian Foy Jr. One-on-one with him, and McSweeney just fights through him to the ball, forces the grab of the jersey, creates the PI penalty. I mean, they teach you that basically starting in junior high. Always, always, always work back to the football, because those flags are just as good as catches.
Floyd coming in about an even 6 foot. McSweeney 6'4.5", if you ask him honestly, with 6'4" listed on the roster. Had the size advantage. 15-yard penalty, third penalty of the night on St. Joe. It's been a fairly clean game, just 5 total penalties in this game. Freeman steps into the pocket, fires. McSweeney's been his favorite target tonight, but he can't bring that one in. Clarence Taylor, the third, in tight coverage.
Taylor's been the best option for St. Joe to keep McSweeney at bay to this point. That play, though, was all the pass rush. They got to him in a hurry. Freeman had to get rid of that thing almost as quickly as it got to him, like it was a hot potato. And McSweeney just hadn't created the separation yet.
Looking to pass again. Freeman running out of time. Fires. Deflected. Brian Floyd Jr. able to get a paw on that one.
Had the time on that play, but nobody had gotten open. When St. Joe does one thing well, or can't get there one way, they do something else really well. Their defense has just been making plays all over the field all day here tonight. We'll see if maybe this game works as a turning point in the GOAT season defensively. Again, I'm sure Coach Golston would love that, the former safety himself.
Head coach and also defensive coordinator. Williams with space near the line, shoved into the wall hard. Coming in like a missile is Jalen Jordan, putting the shoulder to him. So it's going to be about 4th and 2, 4th and 1. They'll put it right at the 15 is the football, so need to get to the 14.
Eau Claire's had slightly better luck on 4th downs today than St. Joseph had.
Back-to-back rushes of 7 or more yards for Boom Williams. This one, snap is low, and it's not going to matter who's on top of it. Pretty much as well as a turnover, no matter how you want to chalk it up. And again, for Eau Claire, they needed that conversion to keep their hopes alive in this one. But now on the quick turnaround, about 6 minutes to go in the ball game, St. Joe, a touchdown away, will pretty much seal it.
Yeah, this will pretty much do the job here. You could argue that defensive stop might have done it for the Goats, but now we'll see. I'd argue the clock at this point, how much of it you're able to chew off, is maybe even more important than the 6 points on this drive. Make sure that thing I mean, you want to kill at least about 2 of these minutes, realistically. If you want to really put this game away, if you're the Goats, you're going to want about 2 of these minutes eaten up on this series.
This could be a lot of heavy dose of Otis Odom, Jarius Burnett. They'll go to the air. Washington, been more active in the second half. First down and more. Demarius Washington, good yak.
A lot of those 6'5" receivers, not necessarily known as yard after catch type guys, but he showcased that he's got some versatility to his game on that play.
Go back to the ground with Odom. He gets a few. Those have been up-tempo all night tonight. Trujillo got it out of some pressure to the corner of the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, St. Joe. Ryan Martinez, 3rd touchdown of the night.
Well, I said 2 minutes. They ate up about 45 seconds, but hey, they did get the touchdown, so Ryan Martinez put 6 more points on the board. Multi-touchdown game for Martinez once again.
This offense is humming now for the Goats. Back quarter again, and it goes incomplete.
Love the effort up front, by the way. Big number 83, Oscar Scott.
And just 2 of 8 tonight on 2-point tries. Every conversion has been for 2 points for St. Joe. That's kind of been one of their Achilles heels so far this season. But nonetheless, their defense has done their job of holding the opposition. So it is 52-20, and I think the fans here inside the Civic Arena are starting to feel it as they are about to witness their first Goats win and the first win in St. Joe Goats history, the home win. That being, it'll be something nice to add, check off the bucket list. Of course, wanted to do it a week or two earlier, a game or two earlier, but you will take a win no matter what. And this is going to kick off an important 4-game stretch the rest of the regular season for St. Joe. One more guaranteed home game this year. They'll take on the Hot Springs Wise guys 2 weeks from tonight. And then that following week, they'll go down to Hot Springs. Second final game of the back-to-back with Hot Springs. And then up to Eau Claire, Wisconsin to wrap up the regular season in the third matchup with these Axemen. And then let the chips fall where they may as far as standings and home playoff game hopes. Ford on the return, gets out of a shoestring tackle, but tripped up as he gets to the 15-yard line. A Goat is slow to get up as Malik Wilson gets up and appears to be okay.
I would say we're officially at the point where if anyone seems even mildly gimpy, I'm pulling them out of this game.
No doubt.
Nice 32-point advantage for the Goats. And that is what we're going to see as Malik Wilson heads over to the sideline. So they'll send in reinforcements for the front line. It looks like this will be Marcus Zweifel.
Goes by the nickname Mojo. Second year back here with the Goats. Local KC kid at a Raymore Peculiar High School.
He'll play the de facto outside backer D-end-esque position in place of Wilson. He's got McSweeney.
Down looking for him. Oh, and another nice grab for McSweeney, and he breaks loose and is into the end zone.
He's incredible.
For Ted McSweeney, if he keeps putting up good tape like this, the Jets might be giving him another call.
Well, the tight end position has been something the Jets have been desperately in need of recent years. McSweeney having himself a day here.
No doubt about it.
Not necessarily the best game for the Axemen that they have been looking forward to on the season, but another highlight for McSweeney to add to his collection here.
Game leading, 8th reception on the night, 3rd touchdown, 35 yards, as big as any. Might try to target him again here. Freeman able to get it to McSweeney, and it's intercepted. Knox maybe trying to make something happen. He just kind of surrenders himself at about the 10. 2-point try, no good.
Second time tonight that Jalen Knox has come away with the interception on a conversion attempt. You mentioned it, that was where they were trying to go with the ball. They were trying to find number 4 again as Wade Freeman was wrapped up in the backfield, basically just had to fling it in any direction to avoid the sack. Jalen Knox makes the play. So now it's officially a double up as it's a 26-point lead for the Goats. Just under 4 minutes left to go.
83 total yards receiving tonight for McSweeney with the 3 touchdowns. He's got so far his highlight game of the season. All coming back to St. Joe, 52-26.
And it looks like this is the return team for the Goats, so it will be a throw-off. The Axemen not going with those desperation 4th down plays just yet.
Both teams with all 3 timeouts too, so keep in mind we get later and later into this game. A little YMCA is broken out here in the Civic Arena. Another great crowd on hand here tonight, very energetic and, as always, as has been the past 2 weeks, hungry to see their Goats team come out victorious as this goes off the rafters and out of play, so an illegal throw-off, and another victim of a throw-off going off the rafters. Add his name to the book, and Kendall Fowler.
So the Goats will have excellent field position here. They'll start from midfield. Their offense is humming. This is not necessarily like the highest scoring game that their offense has put up this season, Dylan, but it has been their most efficient.
Scored on 8 of 10 total possessions tonight, Aaron. Cannot ask to be much more efficient than that. In both drives they didn't score on, ending in turnovers. It's really been the only thing slowing down the Goats tonight. Odom, plenty of green grass inside the 10. Goal to go now for St. Joe.
Not a whole lot that slows him down. Odom, one of the faster players on the field any given week.
No doubt about
Another
it.
big play for number 7.
Goats keep humming away like they're down 2 or 3 scores instead of leading by that many. Again, it's to Odom, and he will go backwards a little bit. So that clock will continue to run as we go towards 3 minutes left in the game.
This is looking like it's going to be a huge victory for St. Joseph in the standings toward, as we keep mentioning, getting that home playoff game in round 1.
Trujillo at the 5 is tripped up.
Now, there's a lot of season left. Not that necessarily a first-round bye in a home playoff game in round 2 is off the table or anything, but just maybe focus on the initial step first.
Odom going backwards again. It's just scoreboard watching here. You have the matchup of the 2 top teams in the league, Duluth and Iowa. Duluth up big in that one, 52-24. And the other one, Hot Springs and Ozarks. The Wise Guys up 37-24 in that game. As Odom will take it, looking for the end zone as he dives in. 9 touchdowns on 11 possible drives tonight for St. Joe.
That was the Otis Odom drive right there. Clearly making up for the fact that he didn't get the return on that drive. They went to him on just about every single play. I believe it was every single play. And it ends in the end zone. The Goats continue their offensive onslaught.
It has been something to watch tonight. By far, I think like the most complete game on the night or on the season for St. Joseph. Plenty of time. Thompson brings it in, but he's going to be a couple yards short. 2 Axemen close on him in a hurry. So a couple seconds from the 2-minute timeout here at the end of the ball game, 58-26. The score here with the Goats with the lead and well on their way to the victory. So, and taking a look around the rest of the league and where things are going to happen, I think we're going to start getting away from these ties, perhaps. Cluster of team with Iowa. It looks like they're going to be losing to Duluth tonight, now 52-24. St. Joe's going to break this tie for last place with Eau Claire, now up 58-26. And with Hot Springs, they just scored against them 43-24. They're up. They continue to build a lead against Ozarks, and that is who the Goats will have next year, 2 weeks from tonight. In fact, everybody in the Arena League a bye week next week, with the exception of Duluth and Ozarks. It's the only 2 teams playing on July 5th. Everybody else will have 4th of July weekend off, and then play will resume back on Saturday, July 12th.
I'll leave you in here when I make my request.
For you Goats fans, if you've been watching along with us here, first of all, it's been a pleasure having you. The past 3 home games out, Dylan Falk alongside Aaron Feely. But if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about coming out to a game, July 12th is the last regular season home game and guaranteed home game for the St. Joe Goats. So I encourage you very heavily to even think about coming out to a game, bringing the family. It's a lot of fun here in the Civic Arena. Get to cheer on your hometown Goats. New man on the return here, breaking some tackles and then some, now past midfield. And he tumbles down at the 15-yard line. Big return for Lutton. His first throw-off return this evening, and he takes it for big yardage.
Yeah, very nearly back-to-back weeks with a return touchdown for the Axemen. Just tripped up at the last moment, as we're now inside 2 minutes. And yeah, obviously, if you're thinking about coming out to a game, we've seen it now, Dylan.
Dietrich Lutton is first and 10 at the 16 of St. Joe, and a throw to the end zone will go incomplete, intended for Stanley Boom Williams.
Just not a lot of space to operate when they've been targeting Jalen Knox tonight. Once again, back in coverage and doing his job well.
Well, I think you mentioned it last week. It was the Mike Reynolds Defensive Player MVP game tonight, without a question. I think it should be going to Jalen Knox. This is by far his best game of the season. He's been locked down here tonight for St. Joe in that secondary. Freeman again under pressure, and he goes down as Raymond Boone is going to be the man credited with that sack.
Yeah, he was just touched Just a graze of the fingertips as he was going to the ground. The head coach is allowed to be on the field during plays here in the Arena League. And I think maybe Coach Colston letting the officials know that he saw some jersey ripple.
Second sack of the night for Boone, fourth total for the Goats. Back-to-back weeks of 4+ sacks. Sweeney in motion, as is Williams. Fake to give to Williams. Looking, finds his man. Facone, and gets it just past the 10-yard line. Just short of the 10, I should say.
Wide open was Facone, as you said. That'll be a nice chunk of plays. The Goats brought a blitz on that one, but Freeman able to diagnose it. Found the uncovered guy. Nice chunk play there. That's good quarterback play.
Now under a minute to go in the ball game for Eau Claire, just trying to finish this drive strong. Finish week 5 at least on a high note. Pressure potentially coming for St. Joe. Here it comes, and they get home.
Pressure.
How about this defense tonight for St. Joseph? Clarence Taylor, he gets in on the sack party.
Pressure absolutely coming harder than it had been coming all game long. And a bad time to have play action going on in the backfield for the offense. No chance to do anything with that play, and now you imagine we're just going to see him squat on this thing a couple of times and head out of here with the victory.
Of course, the last time that these Goats found themselves in victory formation outside of the win against these Eau Claire Axemen a couple weeks ago, as they're going to take a shot down the field. Oh, Bruce Smith! Don't tell these Goats that this game's in hand.
Well, alrighty then. I thought we were just going to see some kneel downs. And the Goats said, hey, we still got fans in seats here.
Let's give them a show.
I would say, though, you might want to be awfully careful. You do have one more matchup with these Axemen coming up this season. You don't necessarily want to get accused of the old running up the score and maybe giving away free bulletin board material.
Backwards. Martinez at the 5 and hit hard at the 2, and the Axemen are not going to allow him to go forward, nor the option to pitch it backwards. 32 seconds.
I suppose on the flip side of that, one of the key tiebreakers is points scored here in the Arena League. So, hey, Goats deciding to make sure that they've got that tiebreaker locked in. They in Iowa well ahead of the pack as far as offensive points scored on the season. But looking at very different places in the standings.
This offense tonight scoring on 10 of 12 possessions, and that one was, again, I think all of us, the broadcasters and fans included, just thought a couple of kneel outs, unless if Eau Claire was going to burn their timeouts. Now I get it if you try to kneel it once, Eau Claire takes a timeout, and then maybe you try to throw it down the field there, but they wasted no time. One shot to Angela Trujillo to Boo Smith for Boo tonight. That is touchdown number 2. Both of them have been for 30-plus yards as he is starting to get back to his offensive and league MVP form from a season ago. 64 put on the board here tonight for St. Joe. Second highest point total, just behind the 70-plus they had in the loss last week against Iowa. As a bounce into the end zone, and now what was looking like was going to be possibly a potential safety, and the throw-off team for St. Joe taking it like that, but they do indeed call it a touchback. So that's kind of interesting, Aaron, because you come out, if you're Eau Claire, 20 seconds or whatever is not enough time, and you just saw St. Joe with the game in hand go down the field and score. So, I mean, what do you do here? I don't think you just deal it out and get out of here. I think you try to respond, don't you think?
I mean, if nothing else, you got 29 seconds of football left to be played. I know all the players are going to be begging to let them play this thing out.
It's all intents and purposes. They're lining up to run a play. Maybe as a potential of, I'll show you.
Remember, those fourth down plays are untimed. So if you can score before 0 seconds, I mean, you're talking about theoretically just an infinite number of fourth down plays to try to, if you score on every single one of them, you can climb back into this thing. These games are never officially over until that clock hits 0.
Brian Floyd Jr. a little slow to get up, under 10 seconds. Again, teams with all timeouts, but for Eau Claire and their head coach Tate Brooks, I think they're going to pack this up and they're going to get out of here. And that's going to do it. For the first time in franchise history, the Goats have a home win in St. Joe. Final score, Goats 64, Axemen 26.
The good guys have won.
Fly away. It's the first time of today.